3 children walked onto a bus. They were 9, 7, and 4 years old. They never came home. It was January 26, 1966, Australia Day, a public holiday. Glenelg Beach was packed with families. The sun was blazing. Hundreds of people surrounded them. And somewhere in that crowd, 3 children ceased to exist. No bodies, no evidence, no answers, not a single trace. What happened to Jane, Arnna, and Grant Beaumont in those final hours has never been explained. 60 years later, it remains one of the most haunting cold cases in Australian history. This is their story. The Beaumont family lived a quiet, ordinary life in Somerton Park, on the southern outskirts of Adelaide, South Australia. Jim Beaumont worked hard. Nancy kept the home. Their 3 children, Jane, Arnna, and little Grant, roamed their neighborhood freely and caught the bus alone without a second thought. That was life in 1960s Australia. Children were trusted to the world. Parents didn't fear the walk to the beach. No one did. That trust was about to be shattered forever. January 26th was a sweltering day. A severe heat wave had settled over South Australia. Exactly the kind of day that called for the beach. At around 10 a.m., the 3 children left home and caught the 5-minute bus ride to Glenelg Beach. They were expected back on the noon bus. They never got on it. At 11 a.m., witnesses spotted the children playing at Collie Reserve near the beach. They were not alone. A tall, blond man in his mid-30s was with them. He appeared relaxed, comfortable, familiar. By 11:45 a.m., he was seen helping the children pull their clothes on over their bathing suits, an act witnesses described as oddly intimate, deeply unusual. At 12:15 p.m., 9-year-old Jane walked into Wenzel's Bakery and bought pasties and a meat pie, paid for with a £1 note. The children had left home with no money. Police believed the man had given it to them. And the meat pie. The Beaumont children never ordered meat pies. That small detail told investigators the man had been with them long enough to influence what they ate. At 12:30 p.m., the children were seen for the last time, walking away from the beach alongside the man. After that, nothing. Jim Beaumont returned at 3 p.m. and began searching. By 5:30 p.m., he and Nancy had filed a missing persons report at Glenelg Police Station. The noon bus had come and gone. Their children had not. The search that followed was one of the largest Australia had ever seen. Police combed the beach, the streets, the surrounding suburbs. The media ran the story across every front page in the country. Nothing was found. No clothing, no belongings, no trace of any kind. The case became national news, not just because 3 children had vanished, but because of where and when. A public beach, a public holiday, hundreds of people. Broad daylight. If it could happen there, it could happen anywhere. Multiple witnesses confirmed seeing the children with the same man, tall, tanned, blonde, mid-30s. Their descriptions were consistent enough that police produced an identikit portrait that circulated across the country. The children trusted him completely, enough to eat with him, to let him dress them, to walk away from the beach at his side. This was not a rushed abduction. This was a man who had already gained their trust. He had given Jane, a 9-year-old, a £1 note. That was significant money in 1966. It spoke to either wealth or deliberate grooming. Jane, as the eldest, would have been fiercely protective of her younger siblings. For all 3 to leave willingly, something had made that man feel completely safe to them. That detail has haunted this case for 60 years. Over the decades, 4 names have emerged as serious suspects. Harry Phipps, a wealthy businessman who lived near Glenelg Beach. His own son claimed he saw the children at the family home the day they disappeared. Phipps matched the physical description and was known for handing £1 notes to local children. Excavations at his former factory site were conducted in 2013, 2018, and 2025. Thousands of tons of soil removed. Investigators reached 4 meters deep. Nothing was found. Arthur Stanley Brown, convicted in 1970 for the murder of 2 young sisters. He bore a striking resemblance to the Beaumont identikit and the suspect's sketch from a 1973 Adelaide Oval abduction. A witness identified him 25 years after the fact. Bevan Spencer von Einem, serving life for a 1984 child murder. A prison informant claimed he boasted about taking 3 children from a beach for experiments. Never proven, never fully dismissed. Derek Ernest Percy, a serial child killer, confirmed to have been at Glenelg Beach the day the Beaumonts disappeared. He admitted being there. He denied any involvement until his death in 2013. 4 suspects, decades of investigation, and still no definitive answer. The Beaumont children were not runaways. They were not lost. They knew that beach, and no accident could account for all 3 vanishing without a single trace. What the evidence shows is a calculated abduction. A man who spent hours building trust, who fed them, who had money, who moved calmly through a crowded space without raising a single alarm. He knew exactly what he was doing. Whether that man was Harry Phipps, Arthur Brown, or someone the investigation never reached, he was there. Witnesses saw him, and he took 3 children from a beach in broad daylight and disappeared as completely as they did. The disappearance of Jane, Arnna, and Grant Beaumont is remembered as the moment Australia lost its innocence. Before that day, children roamed freely. Parents didn't lock doors. The world felt safe in a way it never quite would again. After January 26, 1966, everything changed. Stranger danger education entered schools. Home security became a priority. The idea that a child could simply be taken from a packed beach in broad daylight became impossible to ignore. Nancy Beaumont lived until 2019, aged 92. Jim Beaumont passed away in 2023, aged 97. Neither ever learned what happened to their children. 3 children, 1 summer morning, 60 years of silence. If you followed this case, you know how many dead ends it holds. Every suspect, every excavation, every witness, and still no closure for a family that deserved answers. So here is mine for you. Who do you think took the Beaumont children? Leave your answer in the comments. I read everyone. If this video made you think, share it. These children deserve to be remembered.